Hey, we're back for hour 2 of Roleplay Blades. We have just finished our first set of vignettes where we saw Jeff's character, Carolus Firm, recruit the members of this assassination crew. And that was really fun. Thanks for you guys for doing that. I was able to trick you into GMing yourselves for a whole hour. I just sat and read the internet, and it was great.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a nice break for me.
First hour of the show, he needs a break already.
Oh, role playing, what a drag. No, that was super fun. So those were like flashbacks, and we got to see how you were all recruited by the mysterious, off-putting stranger from far away. Now I think some time has passed. Like we're up to the present time from the flashbacks. It's been a few weeks, maybe even a month or so. Since we've already played those first meetings, we don't kind of need to do it again, I think. But there was a time when you all came to the lair. We should say a few words about the lair even. I have a image here in Roll20 that I've prepared for this purpose. I will drag you over to it. And you can see the image here. Ooh, the library.
Nice.
So this is what the players chose for their secret lair. It's an abandoned library, quite large actually. It's this big round room, and it's in a neighborhood of the city called Brightstone, which we can bring up on the map. I'll bring up the map screen here too, so you guys can see that. Here is the city street map, and Brightstone is this. I'm going to ping it. Oops, my ping is a weird color. Let me make it bright red. Yeah, that's it up there. That island and this series of canals here. There's a big park in the middle. This huge structure here is the Cathedral of the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh, which is sort of the state religion. Brightstone is a very rich and affluent area, but over here on the southern side here, by where these docks are by the canal, there are a series of buildings that have been slated for demolition that have not been demolished. The paperwork was lost, or we don't know what happened at this point. But I think Mr. Firm is the one who discovered the location and basically is squatting there in this abandoned library. And the books are some noble person's strange collection, assembled for no obvious benefit or purpose. It's not useless, I would say, but it's certainly not of great value. This place, it really is kind of a dump. There's a reason why no one has come in and ransacked all the books out to sell. Anyone might use them for firewood or something, but that's about it. Although you guys are, particularly Aldo, you may be interested in some of the weirder novels or strange books in the library if you ever want to explore that.
Yeah, I think I've popped in here before, and I'm familiar with the location.
Maybe after that first meeting when you got the business card from Firm, you were walking out with some handfuls of books to read or something.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I spent the night trying to fill out certain sections of my reference library.
Exactly.
You said that's where we're coming in?
No. So we're gonna jump ahead a little bit.
Okay.
So, Lady Iramina, the contact. Firm knows her quite well, and she's come up in conversation in this time since the initial recruitment. You, Anne and Zeke, actually all three of you know her by name. The King Claith family is a very powerful family in Duskwall and in Imperial City, where you're from, Wheat. In Duskwall, the nobles are powerful because they run fleets of Leviathan hunter ships. They're sort of like whalers. And they go out to sea in these huge metal ships, and they hunt the demons of the sea. In this world, the ocean is very strange. The water is like black ink, and there's stars down at the bottom like constellations, and these titanic demons are in the depths, and their blood is what powers all of the electrical stuff in the setting. So just like whale oil did back in the real world, demon blood is the thing that drives technology here.
And you said King Clave?
Kinclaith, TH, Kinclaith.
Claith, okay.
Yeah. So most nobilities, most noble houses have one or more of these Leviathan hunters, and they make their fortunes by running them. Being a Leviathan captain is a huge honor. Often, like the eldest son or daughter of the family will actually, run the vessel. But the Kinclaith family, you heard rumors of this when you were in Imperial City before you came to Duskwall, and you guys, Zeke and your characters, even though you were kind of underworld street kids growing up, the fortunes of the nobility are known, right? The street corner news vendors and stuff are always shouting about the rise and fall of various powerful, families. And the Kinclaith family has been on the decline for a generation, roughly. No one knows exactly why. There have been all sorts of scandalous rumors, outright lies in the press, and there have been duels. One of the younger sons is a duelist who has killed dozens of people for various slights to the house, real and imagined. It's a house in decline that's sort of in its death throes. They're very dangerous. They have nothing to lose, and they're lashing out at everyone around them. So when Firm mentions Lady Ermina, all three of you know right away the context of that. This desperate, powerful, rich person with an enemies list a mile long, in fact. So for tonight, to kind of get the ball rolling, we're going to jump into the mission, the sort of trial run. She has some strange relationship with Carolus that is unclear at this point. But for the rest of you, she trusted him to recruit you. But before any serious business is done, there's a proving period that she wants you to undertake.
Oh.
So for this trial run, she's selected a victim for you, and we're going to play out that score and see how it goes tonight. So just to set some expectations and talk about the game in general briefly here, this is a sandbox game. It's the type of game where you as the players are going to drive the action. You're going to pursue your interests and play in the sandbox we've made, using this initial premise as sort of our booster rockets to get us up and running. So we've got Lady Ermina and her vendettas. We have Firm and their relationship and the recruitment of you guys, and an easy source of work, essentially. She's going to be able to send you on assignments. After this first initial job, though, which I'm going to kind of push on you to get the ball rolling, then it'll be up to you guys to decide amongst yourselves, like what you're most interested in doing next, how you want to grow the crew, what targets you want to take on and which ones you want to wait to do later, all those kind of things. This isn't a kind of adventure per week kind of game. It's more open, and you guys are going to be in position to drive that based on what you want to do as players. Like, we think it would be cool to go after this person because that sounds like fun. And also as your characters, like my character cares about this more, so we should do that. And the tension of those things is part of the fun of the game. But we're not doing that right now. Right now, I'm just giving you a job as kind of the starter for the series so that we have something to work with. Lady Ermina has chosen Magistrate Jeverick Dunville, who is a judge, essentially. The magistrates, they are kind of a combination of...
I'm sorry, can you say the name one more time?
Magistrate Dunville, Dunvil is his name.
Cool.
He of Charter Hall. Charter Hall is the area just south of Brightstone. It's the kind of the old money part of town. It's where a lot of the government offices are, the courts, the oldest sort of manors. It's mostly made of stone. The buildings are of an old style, somewhat closely cramped, but very rich. Some of them have their own private lightning barriers around their homes and that kind of thing. Magistrates are a combination of a judge and a jury, sort of.
Yeah.
You can bring a case to them, and they can just pronounce summary judgment on someone and execute them. Or
You would say they are the law, then, John?
they are the law. Yes. Magistrate.
They're like the
dread.
weak law, though. They're like the bottom tier law.
They are. They're not
Yeah.
chancellors or governors or anything like that. They would definitely deal with serious crimes, but they're able to be bought. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows
Right.
if you're rich enough, any case that goes to a magistrate can just disappear, or cases that don't exist can be made to appear with money. They're among the most corruptible forces in the city, along with the bluecoats, the officers who enforce the law on the streets. Super, super corruptible. And just so you guys know, because you'll be interacting with these three forces a lot in the game, magistrates and bluecoats can always be bribed pretty much without exception. The inspector branch, however, the investigating arm of the City Watch, is infamous for being incorruptible, and they get killed because of that, because they just don't take bribes, and they're very rigid in their code of honor. So
I'm sorry, and that's the who?
the inspectors. Yeah.
Thank you.
I feel like it's the Law and Order, right? They're the police who catch the offenders, and they're the prosecutors who, basically the beat cops and the judges are super corrupt, but the detectives are not. They're hard to bribe. So Lady Ermina has chosen this magistrate for execution. She did not tell you why. If you want to know that, that's a thing you can try to do. And she has a restriction on the killing. I'll paint a brief flashback here when you met with her in her somewhat dilapidated manor house, which is emptier than it ought to be. Maybe she doesn't like a lot of furniture, or maybe things have been sold off. It's hard to tell. The whole place is done up in mourning. There's black silk banners hung. She's wearing a black gown with a high lace collar. She's fairly young to be leading her household. She's in her 30s. Fine Acarosian noble features, widow's peak in her hair. She wears a complicated bun. And she had to have a ballroom with a harpsichord in the middle and some couches that have been haphazardly placed around it. And in one of the other couches, this high back settee is her brother, the duelist. Roth is his name. As usual, dressed all in white. He has these white leather boots. It's kind of ridiculous. Smoking a cigarette with his dueling sword across his lap, looking bored.
And that's Lady Ermina's son?
That's her brother.
Brother, okay.
Yeah, he's the third child. The eldest was killed. It fell to Lady Ermina, and Roth is the idle noble third brother who has nothing to do but practice the sword all day and all night, and murder people under the guise of dueling. And I think for him in this moment in the TV show of our game, like he just looks like this disaffected, bored kid. He dyes his hair silver and wears it in this long braid. He doesn't wear a beard. He's just kind of odd. Blasé, that's the right word, chat. But when you catch eyes with him, he's the only person you've met so far in Duskwall. When he sees the black Tycherosi shark eyes, he doesn't react strangely. It's like you're looking into a mirror. He has normal human eyes, but they're as dead and sociopathic. There's just nothing there. There's just this like awful murderous look, not directed at you, just in general. Like the world is just his plaything.
I think a lot is said in this conversation. I'm like speaking to her, but I'm looking right at him, and it's weird.
Yeah, he's good at it. He's good at playing it off and being super bored, but there's this predatory thing that's passing between the two of you, for sure. I guess I should ask you, Jeff, like, maybe you don't want to reveal this. This may be too much, but you let me know, because is your demeanor affected, or is this how you act? Are you like putting on something, or?
I think what is noticeable for the viewers is like in the conversation like this, where there's clearly some kind of weird connection and some kind of similarity between the two, the herky jerky movement that he has been doing and the very kind of deliberate, I guess is one of the words you would use to describe it, kind of melts away, and he seems to be like supernaturally still, and there's just no movement to him whatsoever. And when he does move, it's as like fluid and liquid and slow and deliberate again, it's not natural. It's a different kind of feeling weird when you see him move.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. So there's definitely an understanding between the two of you there, unless you really want to take great pains to disguise it. Like he kind of senses.
Oh no, yeah.
He sees behind your mask a little, and you see behind his mask a little. You know what I mean? But we come into the flashback here of the job where Irmina is sort of finishing her diatribe about Dunville and bangs her hand on the harpsichord, and it rings this discordant note, and she composes herself and says, yes, well, he shall be killed in any case. Make it appear. And she kind of glances around the room and sees the curl of Roth's cigarette smoke. Make it appear as if he were killed in a duel. Everyone knows that my brother has challenged him unsuccessfully many times. Everyone will think that he finally caved because of his honor.
Would you like the weapon to be, and he says this again, looking at Roth, is the weapon to be a sword or perhaps a pistol? I mean, do you have a choice here?
She glances at Roth, and he's got his long silver stiletto on his belt and his beautiful dueling sword next to him, and he kind of glances around where there aren't any pistols nearby and shrugs. And Irmina looks at you like, do you have your answer?
I think we have an understanding.
I do hope that you can do this for me. I'm MiniWheat, what up? She totally says that. You don't know why.
This cameo's over and done.
I do hope that you can do this for me and we can come to an arrangement. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work with each and every one of you. And she looks across at each of you, and she can't help herself when she gets to Rune and Aldo. There's a little tiny twinge in her face of distaste. Not like she's not even controlling it. It's just the pure classism bigotry of the world. You know, she
curls her lip a little bit type of thing, or
kind of like the fact that she has to work with someone of no means like that is just, there's some part of her just, it makes her realize how far they've fallen, that they would even be in her home. That's
I think
beyond
seeing
the
that,
pale.
like kind of picking up on that a little bit, I just like I turn to the group and I'm just like, I assure you, these are three. Well, they're very talented. This group, the only thing we're lacking is a name. We have not gotten a name yet. We'll find one. Don't you worry about that. But with that mystique, with that kind of ambiance, if you will, I feel like you'll be much more comfortable working with us. But this magistrate, Dunville, I believe he will lose a duel pretty soon here. And I think you'll be quite happy with that, and especially with everyone behind me.
Nothing would make me happier. Okay, so we'll cut there in the again our pseudo flashback.
Before,
Yes.
So I'm an astute, judge of character. Well, maybe not super astute, but enough to notice a little bit of disparagement. Does she have any like sculptures or paintings or tapestries or something that I might notice, and then like just offhandedly say something about it?
Totally. Yeah. You want to let's make a roll. Let's bring your book learning.
Woo! All right, first roll.
Bring your
That is.
It's time for
Do
some
it.
rolling.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Let's do it.
Also, make it a good one because that kind of sets the tone for the rest of forever.
The rest of forever.
All right.
It's all riding on you.
Oh, shut up. I never mind. We leave.
So yeah, so the way it works,
Bring it.
there's two types of roles in the game. Well, there's a lot of roles, but there's two general types of roles.
Okay.
An action role. Action roles have dangers and consequences. That if they go badly, bad things might happen. If they go kind of middling, you might do what you want, but there's a consequence, right? It's that like middle ground thing. Or if they go well, then you get off scot-free and you do things without consequence. Those are a little more rare. Blades is the type of game where your characters tend to succeed, but they also tend to pay a price of some kind. The game kind of like beats you up a little bit,
Moves you forward, but with a consequence.
Totally. Yeah. Then another type of role is just called a fortune roll, which is like, how much do you know? How well do you do it? How far do you go? Like there's no bad outcome. There's just like levels of good or levels of something. So in this case, this would be a good time for a fortune roll. It's not high stakes with her yet. Nothing's riding on your performance here.
Okay.
But you may have the chance to say something somewhat interesting to her, or you may just blow her out of the water with some crazy insight, right? Where she'd be like, whoa,
Okay.
you've changed my worldview. I didn't know, right? But there's no big downside here. So it's a fortune roll, not an action roll.
Okay.
And the other sort of wrinkle to this game, which will take some getting used to, and don't worry, we're going to get through this together. In this game, you guys decide what action you roll. I don't say make a study roll, make a skirmish roll. You tell me what action you're using to do the thing you're trying to accomplish, and it's usually super obvious. You usually say it, like you practically just said there, Zeke.
Yeah.
Said like I study the room, right? So we know what you're rolling. It's usually that obvious, but I don't get to ever like say, okay, now you have to roll study. If you wanted, you could say like, I'm gonna finesse a volume of poetry off her shelf so without her looking, memorize the title and author, and then like impress her with my, so the way you do it is how you choose your action, and then based on that I decide if it's a controlled situation or a risky situation or a desperate situation, and that choice may hinge on your action. If you want to use your rec action to put stuff back in place without anyone noticing it, like something really discordant like that, and be like, okay, you can try it, but it's gonna be really desperate and weird, and like, okay, this is not gonna work out, right?
Right, sure.
But you always get the choice of action. So
Cool.
what I'll often say is, it sounds to me like you want to use study, and then you can tell me yes, no, or otherwise, right?
Yeah. No, that's why I purposely put points in study for this situation.
I figured. So you're going to roll your study as a fortune roll.
Okay. And do I just roll the study, or I click it and then it says fortune, or no?
There's let's see. On this character sheet, if you click the action, the game wants to make an action roll by default.
Right.
But if you scroll down, there's a box that says roll fortune under your friends list.
Oh, I see it now.
Oh, okay.
And if you click that, then it'll just ask you to like give it a name, which you can just skip. You don't need to give it a name. That's fine.
Okay.
It'll ask you for a number of dice. In this case, you have 2 dice.
Will ask me. Oh, okay. There.
Study. Yep.
Sweet.
And then
Just roll it up.
you just click it, and we'll see what you get. Boom. So the way this game works is you roll a die pool, and then you keep the single highest die.
Sweet.
As the result. So a 1, 2, or 3 as your highest die is bad. That's a bad outcome. If a 4 or a 5 is your highest die, that's like the partial success. If you played Apocalypse World, that's like the 7 to 9, or Masks works that way too. Dungeon World. And then 6 is like a perfect success. That's
How's that, Papa Jeff? Is that good enough? Is
well
that good?
done.
You done good.
So we're off to a good start. Perfect success right out of the gate.
All right.
So we don't fade right there. She sneers at the underclass, and then although you have an opportunity to blow her mind, what do you say?
Yep. I pass by like a sculpture of a woman like in like a dance, like in the midst of a dance pose. Okay. And I just I kind of glance at it and I look back at her and I say, well, I'd be interested to know where you got this Laudius sculpture from. I've been looking for one to round out my collection. It's a nice one. Maybe we can negotiate on it. Maybe a job in the future. Anyway, it's a nice piece. Have a good day.
Careless, like without, like his face is frozen, goes from like looking, and he goes, he looks at Aldo, and he looks back at her, and the only change in his face is his eyebrows go up a little bit like.
She tries to keep her composure, but her, like, the way she acted was kind of a reflex out of many years of training to be a person of her station, to be important, to be obeyed, and all those kind of things. And with your 6, you get to her. She has 2 reactions. She first, like, her face drops and the like hard noble mask kind of cracks a little, and she looks at you like a real person for a second. And then she looks over, and there are several pieces. And she actually admits, she says, "Which one is it?" Like, she doesn't know. She doesn't
Sure.
know what it is. So you can point it out or whatever.
It's this one here. It's Claude Laudius. This was his dancing phase. He made about, I think, 60, 62 of these kind of sculptures.
She goes over.
All about all of these if you want.
She goes over and picks it up and like turns it in her hand, and she says, "This was my mother's. It is beautiful. I want you to have it."
Oh, I couldn't possibly.
Yeah, she comes over. She
Too
presses it into your hand, and you can tell, like, she can't apologize to you. That's not possible for her to be like, "Oh, I acted so dreadfully. I'm so sorry." She can't do that. That's not part of her world. She just has to like give you something valuable. That's the only way she knows how to deal with someone. So she like pushes it into your chest. She's like, looking at your like 3rd button. And then
I like, you see me take it with the utmost like care. And I just look at her and, this is more than I could have expected. I will cherish this. Thank you very much.
that's too much for her. So she presses it, and when you start talking, she turns around and like walks out in her long train behind her of her dress. She walks back through the hallway. And yeah, as you finish your speech, like, she doesn't want to show emotion, so she just walks off.
Yeah.
I think very awkwardly too, as she's walking off, still just smiling and kind of standing back where he was originally standing. Careless just kind of says after her and says, "That is most generous of you, Lady Conclave. Most generous indeed. I believe I will make the man suffer just a little bit more for this kindness."
Throw it in a freeb. Nice.
Aldo, Brune, Miss Catterby, I believe our business is done here. Shall we leave?
Go, finally.
I thought you would like to leave.
Nice.
And as I'm walking out, like, I have the statue like gingerly in one hand, and I'm like trying to fish out my glasses to look for like, cracks and shit. I'm walking with it.
Yeah, it has the maker's mark on it, and yeah. Now, I know that you are not a simple mercenary, Aldo, but if one were to place a value on this statue, one could place a value of 2 coin on this statue.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Which is in the parlance of Blades in the Dark, 1 coin is the briefcase full of money from the crime movie. It's a bundle of cash. The underworld people use that as a joke because they used to mint gold coins. The Empire did, which turned out to be a really bad idea. So they stopped doing it. But one coin used to be able to like buy a house or something with 1 coin way back in the day.
Okay.
So it became like a name for a lot of loot. If you have little silver pieces, people call them slugs or something like that. Usually, like give me some
gotcha.
slugs. Or, yeah. But yeah, it's 2 coin. It's very nice. And I'm not saying you would sell it. I know you're an art lover, but just to put a figure on it, you know what I mean?
Right, sure. No, I mean, this is a nice piece. Don't get me wrong, but there's nicer pieces.
It's true. You might have to trade up. You might want to trade up. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's true.
All right.
Okay, so
That's awesome. Thank you.
out of the flashback, we're gonna kind of cut into the operation. Again, this is the first time we're doing this, so I'm gonna kind of be a little explicit, walk us through the process, and tutorialize it a bit. There's
Awesome.
a thing that happens in role-playing games. I'm sure you guys have experienced it many times, where planning something as a group can turn into a board meeting instead of a role-playing game, and it can get a little tedious. Sometimes it's really fun to do
That never
it.
happens, John. All right. It never happens ever to me on any show I've ever done.
There is a game that rhymes with Maddo Run that is especially vulnerable to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
My
So-
favorite tradition is no matter what plan or how much time you spend on it, the chat thinks it's the stupidest thing you should spend more time on in your entire life. It's my favorite.
God, why? Just go kill people.
To be fair, I am usually on the opposite, where I just am like, nope, fuck it, we just go kill them.
Exactly. I tend to lean in that direction myself. So I made a game about that. The real point of the mechanic here, which we're about to step through, is there's this idea which is called friction. It's from Special Operations. William McRaven has a great book about it, and I think he coined the term. Essentially, when you go do a thing in hostile territory or under duress, you're doing it under friction. Like everything that might go wrong probably will. Things that shouldn't go wrong might go wrong just because of stress and bad luck. And the guy comes out of the bathroom at the wrong time, and just all kinds of dumb stuff like that. So instead of trying to account for every possibility before we do anything, and have to say like, and we also make sure that no one's in the bathroom, or whatever. Like,
Right.
instead of going through all that stuff, we assume that you guys are used to this. You live lives of danger and daring, and when you go do jobs, like stuff goes wrong. Like that's just how it is. And instead of being good at solving every problem before it strikes, you're good at dealing with problems. You're the kind of characters that can roll with the punches, and when something crops up, you just deal with it. Because you're used to it, and in a sense, it's more realistic that way. Like playing boardroom, dungeon crawling, or something where you figure out every possible case just doesn't mesh with the way reality really functions. Not that we have to model reality, but you know what I'm saying. So instead of,
Is it fair to say you think your game's better than Dungeon World?
I mean, I would say it's better than 50% of Dungeon World at least.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Like, I mean, or maybe more like 20%. I forget how much Adam actually wrote, but however much he wrote on, probably better than that part of it, just
Okay.
the specific part. So the way the mechanic works, it's on your character sheets. Let me look at these custom sheets and see where it is, because I haven't used these.
I love you, by the way, Adam.
Yeah.
It's in the middle column there. That column starts with load items, and then if you keep going down, it says planning and load, and it says choose a plan, provide the detail. You see what I'm talking about?
Right.
So there's 6 different sort of types of plans: assault, occult, deception, social, stealth, and transport. And what we do as a group is usually we'll decide what the job is. Like that can be a whole thing, like a discussion, and what would be planning. The time spent on that often gets spent like choosing what to do and whose target is interesting and stuff like that. Then your characters make a plan. Like they sit around with a map and they have a lantern and they talk about stuff and they do all that. But we kind of cut away from the planning that your characters do in character. All you guys have to do is say what type of plan they're making in order to assassinate this dude. And then each of those plans has a detail that I'll ask you for. And you provide me with that detail. And you may provide it by saying, okay, let's do a flashback to when I went and cased out the place and I found our point of attack. Or let's do a flashback to when I convinced my friend to invite us to her party for the social thing, or whatever. And then we know the detail. Once we know those two things, we make a roll, and it called an engagement roll that is the Murphy's Law friction resolution to find out, like, does anything go wrong when you execute the job? When you start the job, is it going really smoothly? Is there a problem, or are things going badly when the job starts? And then we just start in the middle of the action. And then anything during the job that you feel like, hey, wait a minute, we would have planned for that. We would have brought a boat and parked it outside. So when we jump out the window at the end, that we can be in our boat. Like, that would have been cool. You can do a flashback to do that. And flashbacks cause stress based on how outlandish they are. If it's totally reasonable, they're free. If they're crazy, kind of flashbacks, they cause more stress. But essentially, you guys get to wait and see what the problems are, and then retroactively plan for them in the past.
Okay.
It'll make more sense when we do it. I just kind of wanted to lay it out there as a template, and then it'll make sense as we process.
If I understand correctly, is there a way to do these gigs without accruing stress, or is it just always you will accrue stress?
You pretty much always, with very rare exceptions, 99% of the time, you will decide when you take stress. It's up to you. You spend stress to, like, get a bonus die to your roll, to assist a teammate, to use magical powers if you have magical powers, to resist harm that you don't want to take. If you don't want to get a broken leg, you can take stress instead. There's never going to be a time, probably, well, again, 99% of the time, there'll never be a time when I say, okay, now you take 3 stress. Like, it's always going to be on you to decide to take stress or not. Yeah. I might say, he wrestles the gun away from you and shoots you in the heart and you die. And you go, I don't want to take fatal harm. I'm going to take stress instead.
Yeah.
So in that sense, there are cases where you wouldn't have a choice, so to speak. But taking stress is always on you. So, given this magistrate who lives in Charter Hall, which did I show you Charter Hall? I don't think I did. I have a graphic for that. Let me bring that up and get a sense of the neighborhood here. There it is.
Damn, dude, come on now. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that's the place. So it's, as you can tell, it's very well-to-do, high society, gentlemen in their top hats and ladies as well. Brightly lit with electric lights and well patrolled by the blue coats and private security as well. And this is where this guy lives and works. So you guys can decide, of those plans, which one strikes you as the one to pick to murder this dude.
How much planning can we do before we determine that, right? Like, wouldn't there be a level of planning that would help us determine, okay, a full-on assault wouldn't be the right way to go. We need to go with a more, social approach. Well, how would we navigate that?
Yeah. So there are things you just know about the world that I can immediately answer about those kind of things. If you don't, then that's a time for you're able to roll the dice and be like, okay, if we're going to do an assault, then I'm going to study a good point of entry.
Okay.
And then if we're going to do social, we're going to, find out a good person to use for our contact or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if I were to chime in, I would say the easiest thing would be to figure out his route, like the transport, like figure out the route he takes to get from work to home and nab him there or whatever.
Well, we're supposed to make it look like he died in a duel, right?
Right. All we got to do is stab him, though, and put him in a place. Right.
Yeah. Theoretically, you want to do it where no one sees you do it. So they won't say later, like, no, he didn't die in a duel. Some people ran over and killed him. You know what I mean? But but yeah, as long as it looks like he was plausibly killed in a duel and there aren't like tons of witnesses, that would, one or two would be probably fine because, you know, conflicting stories. But
Now, can I make up something that might be true? Let me tell you where my head's at.
yeah, tell me.
Like Code Duello is like this thick thing in a lot of different cultures and a lot of different fantasy games.
Yep.
Where there's like codes and honor and blah, 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 blah. But what if there was like a written document contract thing where both duelists had to sign it?
Mm.
And like that's proof of a duel or something like that.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah. This is a very legalistic culture, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in this culture, like, what is like is can I verbally enter a duel with anyone?
I think you can, but without the paperwork, like it would be hard. It would be possible for it not to be binding or something late after the fact. It would have to go into the court or something like that. So I think the paperwork side of it is what, and that's something that Lady Ermina could provide, probably.
Okay.
Is some forged documents along those lines. Now that may be something you could tackle as well. You may even be better at it than she would be. But
Well, I just throw out this idea, but we could actually duel him.
yeah, he's been dodging Roth because he's a legendary murderer. But he's a nobleman expected to accept challenges to his honor. So you could potentially try to maneuver him into a situation where he had to agree.
Yeah, we
to
could
it.
manufacture a situation where his honor is challenged, and we have Aldo duel him or something like that, and perhaps Rune has his reflexes drugged up a little bit.
If I may, nobles don't go around just dueling people like me.
That's true.
I don't think it would be beneficial if I was involved in a duel. I can carry the body, but as far as dueling, it'd probably have to be you. Someone who looked like might duel.
My bad. We're role playing this shit. Are we like
But,
sitting around
I
table?
don't know. We don't have
No,
to.
that's fine. No, it's fine. Yeah, go ahead. Hey, this is an important decision. Like this takes the place of a lot of planning, right? You guys
Sure.
agree on the type of action, so yeah, go for it.
Yeah, as he
Maybe
said
we should
that.
do that first.
Yeah, so I'm saying, is it deception? Are you tricking him? Are you just going to attack him? This is what we're figuring out. So, yep, go ahead and play it.
I think as Aldo says that, Carolus nods his head, smiling, of course. It says, "Rune, you haven't said much. What are your thoughts with this?"
Well, if we have to make this look like some staged duel, why don't we just have Roth duel him like he wanted to, and we can fix the results?
In that scenario, I believe the results would be favorable to Roth, but the reason that hasn't happened is because this Dunville, this Magistrate Dunville, knows the results would happen that way and has avoided it. So that's why this charge has been levied, if you will.
Now, maybe you guys have some sort of social plan that would take away all his excuses and you would have to do it. Maybe that's the angle that you're talking
There
about.
is alcohol in this world, right?
Oh, yes. There's all kinds of drugs and stuff.
Now, to your point, Rune, if we could perhaps find a way to encourage the two scenarios to meet, perhaps through liquid courage, an inspired moment in time, something that compels him to take up these arms in a duel. We know that Roth is a willing party. We also know that he will succeed. It's about making it happen. So if we go about that angle, we'll have to manufacture this moment in time, which we just so happen to have some clever people here. Miss Catterby is one of those said people, I would imagine.
Are you looking to me?
I am so happy that you're up to date with this conversation. We must move it along. There are no other Miss Catterbys.
Sure. So we get him to have a drink we convince him that he needs to duel, and he duels Rolf, and he kills him, and mission accomplished. That's what you're saying.
What if we could engineer a social event of sorts, and we, of course, manufacture that Roth is there at the same time. Catterby, being the not terribly hard to look at woman that you are, perhaps you could engineer a scenario where he is consuming a less than recommended amount of alcohol, and someone else could up the ante, get it into an excitable moment of time where his honor is challenged, and it happens to be Roth, but it's revealed that it's Roth, because once the duel is set, once the moment has been established, he cannot back out. His rank and reputation would dictate as much. And of course, like we said, Roth is a disgusting animal, but he would most likely, not even most likely, he just simply would be game for such an event. It's about getting Dunville into the mode.
Sure. Put me in front of Rolf. I mean, the other guy. I'll make him drink. I'll get him to accept the duel. You just got to get Roth there and get him to call him out, if you will.
So I'm hearing a kind of deception where you want him to accept a duel, not realizing that it's Roth Kincaid.
Yes.
It's some easy target, and then it turns out to be.
I think we could make it something like he becomes enamored with Miss Catterby, and we encourage that along through flirtation and also alcohol. But then it becomes clear to Miss Catterby, like Miss Catterby reveals to him that she has this terrible boyfriend or significant other that he would have to get rid of in an honorable battle in order to win her over, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
This is terribly cliche, but I still think it's kind of cool.
Wheat, this is a chance for you to gather some information. I think you're connected, and you would have a line on an opportunity in this space. So let's make a roll for you to.
Are we planning?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
Are
ahead.
we planning on doing this in a public place, like this ruse in a public place?
Social, yeah.
Okay. Because it probably. Well, I mean, if it's going to be Roth that does it, then we don't have to hide. Like, we
Right.
can just let them say.
We're
Okay.
making it happen is what we're
Right,
social engineering
right.
to make the duel happen that we
Gotcha.
know
Exactly.
will result
Yeah.
in Roth killing him.
And
No,
and
I'm just wondering, like, I don't have a part in this then.
Not yet. Not yet. But can I ask too that is it within Rune's abilities to make not just an alcohol, but like a mind altering? Like, I actually honestly don't know if you have the ability to do that kind of stuff, but like some kind of compound that would make this more likely. Is there anything like that at all in this game?
I don't know how much like do I know about alchemy or
very little, but you know a lot about doing hardcore drugs.
Nice.
So
can I just like put some of my drugs in his drink or something?
totally, yeah.
They do like hallucinations and shit, so maybe.
I mean, there'll be a roll involved, and
Yeah.
based on that roll, it'll affect him somehow.
Okay.
This is not none of your area of expertise is drugging people in precise ways.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that'll be a bit of a gamble. But it's all a gamble when you get right down to it.
Right.
So I think in the planning stages, we kind of talk that out. And then Aldo's like, hey, I got nothing to do. We kind of look at him and we're like,
It's not true. We actually have to get Roth to to be there, Rolf to be there. If he's not there, there's no point to it. So Aldo, that's your job.
All
Okay.
right. So what you're saying is I'm a messenger boy. That's fine as long as I get the same amount that everybody else gets.
everyone gets the same amount, Aldo.
That's
And I
fine.
assure
I'll
you
be
in the
delivery
future,
boy I'll be delivery boy this time. And then next time I'll be delivering punches, I suppose.
right, you are, Aldo.
All right. I'll go get him then. Well, when it's ready, of course.
All right,
Yeah, so I'm ready to consort. I
yeah,
guess,
let's
right?
consort. Yeah, let's see your consort in action here.
All right. So I just click here.
Yeah, so this is going to be hang on.
I have risky, controlled, and desperate as my position.
Yes, so this is, let's see. This is risky. You want to not leave any evidence. Like you're gonna talk to your friends in low and high places, and later on, after this all goes down, none of them will go, "Oh, that must have been what Miss Caddy was talking about." You're gonna do it.
Right.
You're gonna do it in a way that is just like very nonchalant, and they never even know that you're
Right.
pumping them for info, right?
Got it. All right.
Yep.
So just submit an effect, standard, limited, or great.
Standard effect.
Okay. And bonus dice, how does that work?
You don't have any right now. You
Okay.
can spend 2 stress to give yourself a bonus die.
Okay.
Um,
So
one of
what
your
are the actual, right? Because I have like 3 in consort because we
Yeah.
have bonus from our crew.
yeah.
So what does the 3 give me versus if I just had 1?
It gives you 3 dice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And I'm
That's a big
taking the
deal.
highest die.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you get 3 chances to get.
Awesome.
Yeah.
5.
Screw bonus dice. Who needs them?
uh,
Nice. Okay. So on a risky roll with a 5, you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, you end up in a desperate position. The easiest thing for this is the complication we talked about. So you through your network of informants and friends, you hit upon the perfect opportunity, which is a masquerade party, which will allow you to easily disguise Roth and everyone else to do your reveal maneuver. But because of you tipped your hand a little bit during these dealings, I'm going to add +1 heat at the end of the score. There's going to be a little more heat on the crew than there would have been because someone's going to talk to somebody who talks to somebody, and far off on some inspector's desk somewhere, there's a file that gets put at the bottom of the stack, and
So John, let me get this straight. You just fucking reached up in the air and just found a +1 heat for us, and that's just
Yeah.
what we get.
you just that's what happens when you know.
Well, John, as it would coincidentally happen, I just found a -1 heat. There it is.
You know, you work with 3 monsters. It's gonna be hot.
Funny.
Anyway,
I got you.
got it.
No, I was just waiting for the dad answer. Like, 1 heat? You want to make it 2?
I don't turn this crew around.
Let me fail again. Go on.
You mess with the bull, you get the horns.
All right.
All right. Nice. So yeah, we will take our second break here in a second, and I'm going to create the location and the time for the masquerade party, and then we'll jump in, and you guys will be there. Things will be rolling, and we'll do flashbacks as we need to get all the pieces into place for the final blow. That road.
I have a feeling we'll need no flashbacks because this is going to go.
I think it's
perfectly
going to
well.
be fine. Yeah, you're totally just going to nail it.
Great success.
All right, let's go into break 2, and we'll be back in just a little bit.